I said, what color's that? He says, it's called Watermelon Magic and Green Magic. I said, send me a few hundred of them. Of course, he would. And the first time I went out, I had a couple of friends with me fishing, and I was sitting in the back of the boat, and one of them's running the trolling motor, and I'd catching 7, 8 to their 1 using the same worm. I called Eddie Worthen that night, and I said, Eddie, I said, you're not going to let these go public, are you? And he said, no, just that one company. I said, well, wait till I retire before you do, because I'm going to make a lot of money. And I did. I caught them everywhere I went. I'd had co-anglers in the boat that couldn't catch a fish on the same kind of worm, different colors. And I'd give him some of them, and right away they'd catch them. So when you go, they're out now because I quit. And I wouldn't take him duck hunting anymore if he did. But anyhow, it's called Watermelon Magic and Green Magic. The reason it's so good, it's got about 6 or 7 different colors of metal flake in it. Copper, red, chartreuse. It's got all kinds. And that's the favorite color. Now, if it's a dark, overcast day, I like the dark colors. Blue grape, black, okay? Cloudy days, okay? If it's sun shining, Green Magic, Watermelon Magic #1, and then the other ones would be the transparent colors like regular green punket with gold flakes sometimes, but 99% of the time I'd use Watermelon Magic, Green Magic. You just can't beat it, okay? On the 7-inch worm, when I'm fishing it, I'm telling you, I'm using just a rig like this, spinning reel, 6.5-foot rod. Now remember, on rod fishing and learning to be a real accurate caster, spinning and bait caster, I'm 6'2", so I'm comfortable using a 6.5-foot rod or a 7-foot cranking. But if you're like, young kids or girls, and I see some here that are learning to fish, and let's say you're 5'7", you're more comfortable with a 5.5, 6-foot spinning rod. It handles it better. So I always tell people to buy rods within a 1/2 foot of how tall they are, and you can handle them better. And when I'm wacky worm fishing, listen to this, I'm going to tell you how I do it. No matter what kind of cover, I'm going down the bank, I'm either fishing over grass in the pockets, or I'm throwing at stumps, a corner of boat docks, or I'm fishing off points or riprap banks. And I'm going to talk about a different ways I wake wacky worms and other stuff I do to them. But I'd say 70% of the time, I just use a hook in it, 8-pound line. You hook it right in the middle or right behind the egg sac. You can't see that one as good. Well, most of the time I'll use a 1/0 or 2/0 regular worm hook, Gamakatsu, that are real sharp. And if I'm real clear water, I'll use that drop shot hook. And you say, boy, that's a little hook. You'll catch every one that bites it. And when you throw a wacky worm out, when you make a cast by any kind of cover, it's not real, I don't have any weed guard on it or anything, and I very seldom hang up. There's times I'll use a hook that has a weed guard on it, but most of the time, 98% of the time, I never do, because you don't have to. It's really basically weedless unless you throw it and pull a hook into some cover. But I'll throw it around the cover. You don't have to throw in it. You throw around it. And when you make a cast with it, it hits so gently a lot of times before you are ever even ready, one's got it. But when you throw it out, the minute it hits the water, it's not a worm that you work back to the boat, like a Texas rig. You throw it at a piece of cover, you let it start sinking, and you just twitch the line with slack line, just twitch it. And it's going to go like this. It looks as real as it's going to be. And 90% of the time, you're going to hear this noise. Dun, 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 dun. Because I promise you, if there's one around there, he's going to come right to it. And they're not scared of it. It looks so natural. You're going to feel guilty catching them because you're going to catch so many fish. He'll come up there and he'll grab it. Now, I don't set the hook immediately most of the time unless he's around cover, because I let him swim with it a little while and they suck it in. The problem with wacky worms, when they're really on them, they'll swallow the dang thing before you can set the hook. And all you do is cut the line and let him go. I like to get the worm out of his mouth, but keep the hook because they'll sometimes swallow it down to the goozle. You cut the line, in 3 or 4 days it dissolves and it doesn't hurt the fish, but don't be pulling on the fish, okay, or you'll kill it.
And the information Bass University provides isn't your basic run-of-the-mill fishing video. This is specific information from A to Z to help you learn, get to the water, and become a better angler quickly.